Hey there, and welcome. Whether you're a parent, a student, or honestly just anyone who cares about the future, there's this big question that always seems to pop up: how do we make our schools better? Well, today, we're going to go on a global quest to find some real answers by taking a look at the world's most successful education systems.
I mean, it's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is the secret just more funding, more technology, stricter tests, or is it something else entirely? We're going to tackle this head-on by looking at what the data tells us from all around the globe.
Okay, so our quest begins. And to do this right, to really find our way, we need a solid approach, a way to compare different systems to see what's actually working.
And that is exactly what comparative education is all about. You can think of it as the science of school improvement, but on a global scale. It's not about saying one country is just better, not at all. It's about digging in and analyzing everything, from teacher training to curriculum design, to find strategies that are truly effective.
We're not just, guessing here. Our guides on this quest are international organizations that collect just massive amounts of data. A really key one is the OECD. That's the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. You've probably heard of their PISA tests, which measure how students are doing in dozens of countries. This data, it's the foundation for our entire journey.
All right, so with our map and our data in hand, it's time to visit the all-stars. We're talking about the countries that consistently find themselves at the top of those international rankings. What are they doing right? Let's go take a look. On our little world tour, a few names keep popping up again and again: Finland, Singapore, and South Korea. And what's wild is that each one has a very different approach, but they all get incredible results. So we're going to make two key stops to really understand what makes them tick, starting in Finland and then heading over to Singapore.
Our first stop, Finland. For years, people have been talking about Finland's innovative and super effective system. So, what's their secret? Well, it really seems to boil down to one thing: their teachers. Finland's strategy is absolutely fascinating. To even get into a primary school teaching program, it's incredibly competitive. And get this, every single teacher is required to have a master's degree. This high bar is the bedrock that allows the whole system to give them immense professional trust and freedom. So instead of focusing on high-stakes standardized testing, they're empowered to just teach, to focus on creativity and critical thinking.
So yeah, it's pretty clear. Finland has built its entire system on a foundation of professional excellence. They invest a ton in their teachers, and then they trust them to do their jobs. The whole model is really built on this idea of professionalism and respect.
Okay, let's fly across the globe for our next stop, Singapore. Now, if Finland's model is all about decentralized trust, Singapore's is kind of the opposite. It's about centralized excellence. It's a completely different philosophy, but with equally stunning results.
Singapore's approach is all about centralized quality control. They have this world-class curriculum that's consistent across the whole country, especially in math and science. Teacher training is super rigorous, but it doesn't stop when they get the job. The system is built around continuous professional development, making sure every teacher stays at the absolute top of their game.
So what this shows us is a philosophy of intentional design. I mean, nothing in Singapore's system seems to be left to chance. It's like a meticulously engineered machine that's constantly being refined with a laser focus on quality from the very top all the way down to the individual lesson plan.
So we've just seen two incredible but very different models for success. And the big question now is, what do we do with all this knowledge? How do we actually bring these amazing ideas back home?
This is where a concept called policy transfer comes in. It's basically the art and science of learning from what others are doing. But, and this part is absolutely critical, it's not about just blindly copying and pasting. What works in Helsinki or Singapore isn't guaranteed to work the same way in Houston or Sydney.
So the process follows a pretty simple three-step framework. First, you deeply study a successful model. Second, you adopt its core principles, like Finland's trust in teachers or Singapore's focus on curriculum. And third, and this is the most important part, you adapt those principles so they actually fit your own unique culture, your resources, and your goals.
So why does any of this matter? Well, the payoff is huge. This whole global quest allows us to learn from the best of the best, to base our decisions on actual evidence of what works, and to spark some real innovation in our own classrooms. It connects us, It creates a global conversation about how we can give every single child the best education possible.
At the end of the day, it really comes down to this simple, powerful idea. By looking beyond our own borders, We find new tools, new ideas, and new inspiration to get better. It's all about collective progress, about learning from each other on a global scale.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We've spent this time looking at what the world can teach us. But this is a two-way street. Every system has its strengths. So what's the one lesson, the one unique thing that the world could learn from the schools right there in your community? It's something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.